Hello everybody, welcome back to another video where I talk AuDHD stuff, my experiences while I play a cozy game. Mostly Stardew Valley because I started a farm specifically for this series, so hope you'll enjoy that. Anyway, I'm gonna ramble a bit, and today's topic is on sensitivities, or maybe that's not the right word. The thing is, particularly people who are neurodivergent, they have certain things that they're sensitive to, and hypersensitivities, and certain things that they're not sensitive to. And one of the reasons why I for the longest time did not think that I had a neurodivergency is because I would see these videos of people who are like on the autism spectrum, and they would talk about how all the labels on their clothes would bother them, and they couldn't stand this sound, they couldn't stand that texture, they never ate anything other than whatever it is that they considered safe foods and stuff like that. So I thought, well, I do have some issues that kind of look like I might have it, like particularly in the social area and just not understanding people and having been extremely naive growing up because I just didn't understand how the world worked and stuff like that. But I don't have issues with the labels in my clothes, and last I checked, I'm fairly okay with most foods and stuff like that. And then I actually went and saw that there are also the opposites of these sensitivities. Like you can be hypersensitive to certain things if you're on the spectrum, but also hyposensitive. And I noticed that with me, I tend to only really be sensitive like auditorily, like sounds. I tend to hear all the sounds. And I tend to imitate all the sounds as well. Like when something pops up to me or stands out to me, I tend to imitate that. And that can be the noise a phone is making. That could be, I don't know, whatever sound's going on in the background. It could be just something that somebody just said, and then I echo it back to them. And they really love that when I do that. Not. But okay, so that's a thing that I do. And also, like, visually, whenever it's very bright. And for me, very bright can be as simple as stepping out the door into the outside world where other people have no issues. I have to wear shades because it's just too bright, even on a cloudy day. So I'm often squinting. But other than that, like when it comes, except for temperatures. I noticed recently, particularly the last few years, whenever it drops a little bit in temperature, I'm immediately cold. So I do have an issue. Like the other end of that, the hot end of the spectrum, I can step into a car in the middle of summer and just feel like it's a nice warm blanket and have no issues other than that. But if it gets a little under room temperature, or even room temperature sometimes can feel too cold to me, I'm already putting on blankets and stuff like that. I really, really hate that. So I call myself a tropical species whenever the situation allows for me to say that. But other than that, I think I'm hyposensitive. Like the clothes, I love when clothes are tight. I like to have things that also heavy. I like heavy clothes as well, like thick sweaters, anything that's like jeans. I love jeans. I don't know, just like the held together feel. I don't know, it sounds a bit weird. I also have like one of those weighted blankets on my bed, and it's the heaviest one I could find. Like I got it from somebody, and it's a 13 kilo blanket, so it's like twice as heavy as the average one that you'll find. Most of them are like around 7 kilos, these ones that I've seen. So they put it up for sale because they were like, oh, it's way too heavy for me. And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try, because I was like not sure how I would react to a weighted blanket. But now I don't even notice it anymore. Like the first night I was like, yeah, there is quite a bit of weight on top of me. But the second night I was like, oh, this is comfortable. And every night after that, it's just like as though I never had a weighted blanket on there. Anyway, because I like that pressure, that's good. I was even considering getting a second one to re-feel the weight on me again, because it was comforting when I felt it, like when I was consciously aware of it. And now it's just kind of like I'm not even under a weighted blanket anymore. So I'm hyposensitive in the sense that it can't be enough. I always loved going on the wildest rides in amusement parks, and we had this one ride in the Efteling, which is in the Netherlands, that's called the Ship, and it's this big wooden boat that just swings back and forth. It's a huge swing, and then of course you want to be as far towards the back as possible because that's where you get the most effect out of it, and it's one of those stomach churning type things. Like the only reason why I don't like going on the ship is mostly because I imagine that somebody on the other end of the ship facing my way, because it's like half the boat is facing one way and half is facing the other. They all face the middle basically. Like, I have this fear that somebody on the other end is going to lose the contents of their stomach right as the boat is like pretty much vertical. And of course, I'm going to be in the way. Like, that's something that I always like kind of feared on the boat. But if that were not even an issue, I'd probably go there all the time, all day long. And of course, all the different other types of roller coasters and things like that. Things that move quickly, spin quickly, that type of thing. Really love those. And what else? Yeah, sharp foods, basically. Anything super sour, anything super hot, anything super anything, really. Also textures. Like, I had this, well, I still have it. It's like a pencil case. And it's got this glitter on the outside, and it's like not the flat glitter. It's like almost like pebbles of sand or something that they glue on there, and it's glittery. So I love that because it's super rough texture, and I love to like just rub it between my hands to just feel anything. Basically, that's like the hypo side. You don't feel enough, so you're looking for ways to feel more. So on the one hand, I have some auditory and visual hypersensitivities, but everything else is super hyposensitive. So I'm like always looking for stimulation in that sense, always looking for the extremes there. And that is something I think we're kind of missing within the neurodivergent community, at least in the videos that I've seen on YouTube in particular, which is where I spend most of my time. Mostly people talk about the hypersensitivities, which can give people like me with hyposensitivities the impression that you have to be hypersensitive in order for you to be considered neurodivergent or something along those lines. And hyposensitivity also leads me to not notice when I have a lot of like tension in my body. I have a lot of times when my neck is super stuck. I don't really notice it until it's super, super stuck. Like, it's normally already quite stuck. My muscles tend to have a lot of knots in them just by default. And then when it gets so stuck that I start to get a headache, that's when I'm like, okay, I need to take some magnesium maybe to try and relax them or something. Or I need to kind of massage that a little bit to try and get some of that tension out. But if I were to just poke any random spot, like in the back of my neck or my shoulders, I can just tell that it's super stuck. I just don't tend to pay any attention to it because it doesn't actually get brought to the forefront of my consciousness. And then that leads to tension headaches, which are great. Not obviously being sarcastic there, which can lead to like an aura-only migraine, which is extremely annoying. And I have this thing where I don't want people to focus on me when I've got something like that going on. I'll just kind of like clam up in my little shell and try to appear like I'll mask even harder to try and appear as though everything's perfectly fine, right? So if I'm at work, for instance, and I'm just sitting behind my desk, I'm just going to keep working. I'm going to have a little bit more trouble to see what I'm doing because obviously the center of my focus is now covered in this aura. At least that's how it looks with me. I tend to get an aura that kind of goes over the blind spot first and then makes its way toward the center of my focus. And then eventually I have to like look back and forth the entire time to see what I'm doing, where I am with my mouse pointer and stuff like that. Anyway, so usually that lasts for about half an hour, like the aura, and then of course the rest of the day my brain feels cooked and I don't really do a whole lot more. Like, I try to do as much as I can, but I'm never going to say like, oh hey guys, I've got an aura headache, I'm just going to relax for a while, because I feel like I have to be doing things. Otherwise people will think I'm lazy, that I'm not doing enough, that I'm always just kind of like being oversensitive maybe. So I am always fine. On the other hand, I also have hypersensitivity when it comes to like pain thresholds and stuff like that. I don't tend to whine too much about pain. Also, I don't tend to register it too much either. That might also have something to do with the amount of bullying that I had growing up as well, and all the different schools that I was at. I've been bullied mercilessly, so the thing with bullies is they love when you react to things. So that's also where some of my stoicism comes from, but also the not reacting to things like pain unless it's like really extreme. And even then, I might not make a lot of sound because that tends to draw attention and lets people know that they're actually affecting you. So that's something that I always avoided, at least growing up, and it's just part of like my programming, I guess, now. And I think also one hyposensitivity is more of a vestibular thing? Is that what I'm talking about? Like your position in space? I'm not super aware always of how close or far away I am of certain objects. That leads me walking into door frames, corners of tables, and then you get that thing like you're walking up to a table and you think you're going to clear it, but you're then later seeing that it's definitely not going to happen. So then you do this weird, awkward bending thing to go around the corner. I don't know if you guys ever seen that before. Also leads me to dropping things or grabbing next to them sometimes. And I have a terrible sense of balance. I tend to watch a lot of police body cam stuff on YouTube. Those are always very interesting. They often have DUI cases. People have to walk 7 or 9 steps with one foot in front of the other and stuff like that. I always imagine that if I ever got pulled over and they want to do that test with me, then I'm going to fail that because I have terrible balance, because I don't know, there's just something wrong with my balance organs, I guess. Though in that situation, I shouldn't get a ticket because they do also make you blow on a machine, so there shouldn't be any alcohol in my system at that point anyway. So we wouldn't get a ticket, I hope. But if I had to do that exercise, I'd probably look really suspicious, because even though I didn't drink anything, I probably wouldn't be able to balance on my feet for too long, because I don't know, it's just not a thing with me. I can do it for a while, but definitely not for the duration of the entire exercise. But anyway, so that is my thoughts on sensitivities and my own hyposensitivities in particular. Hope you enjoyed that, and I also hope to see you in the next video. In the meantime, make sure to leave me a comment in the comment section below, otherwise I'll start to feel lonely, and that's not good for my rejection sensitivity, so hopefully you'll drop me a nice comment. But in any case, hope to see you in the next video. Have a nice day. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.